when you're in front of a judge and you're telling that story. And that is the story aspect is really evidence. And so there's two types of veterans, right? If I was to generalize all veterans making VA disability claims, you have those that have medical evidence. 99% of those are going to be fine. They're not complaining on social media about the VA, right? Because the loudest
Right.
voices get heard.
Yeah.
And so they have medical evidence. They have a diagnosis.
Right.
A lot of my claims, I had evidence from my post-deployment health assessments, my annual health assessments. Generally speaking, easy day, right? That's over there. Then you have the majority of veterans that don't have medical evidence, right? Yeah. had to get the whole screen there. The
Yeah. Yeah.
majority of veterans don't have medical evidence from health assessments, pre or post deployment health assessments, from their exit exam. They have nothing. That's where majority of veterans will fall into, especially the older veterans. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that as a joke, but I mean like
Right.
your, pre 03 veterans, 03
Right.
and prior. Um, the systems, technologies just is not what it is today, right?
Right.
It just wasn't. And so now you're looking at statements, you're looking at, well, the doc gave me medication. And then you ask yourself, well, can I go get a statement from the doc? If you remember their name, sure, right? But that's probably not even possible. And so you're really relying on a thread of in-service events that the VA would consider for that claim. And that's when statements do come in clutch. And I'm gonna be real with you. You fall into the category of no medical evidence, and your evidence is a slither from service. I'm telling you right now, you're probably going to be denied, right? Let's not sugarcoat it. You're probably going to be denied. But this video is about, well, what can you do about that? All right. What you can do about it is, first, it starts with that intent to file. Have the intent to file, gather all the evidence you possibly can, whether that's medical or evidence other than medical. Statements. I've seen personnel reports and fit reps, like a fitness report.
Hmm.
The Marine Corps does annual reports on each Marine, right? So the Army does NCOERs. I've seen those be used as evidence to show like a mental health decline, and those were service connected. So
Hmm.
think outside the box. What evidence do I have? Gather that, submit the claim. And if you have very little evidence, just go ahead and prepare for denial, right? And in that instance, you're going to want statements, buddy letters, everything you have, because you're going to have to appeal that. And that's probably going to go all the way to the judge in that very niche setting where you have very little evidence. And statements really do come in clutch there. The second thing I want to hit on is I'm going to double down on the evidence piece. Bad C&P examiners exist. You're not going to change that. I don't think the VA is going to change that. How you put it, you almost prophesied the VA's press release there, and if it comes out and it's what you said, that would be insane. Okay. um, but these bad C&P examiners exist. I'm saying bad, right? Bad C&P examiners exist. And so what we need to do, that puts more emphasis on the evidence gathering piece. Veterans can lean on evidence. All my disabilities that were service connected at 0, because I had evidence, I did a higher level review, boom, got the proper rating, right? Had I not had the evidence, whatever the C&P examiner says becomes the truth, right? We don't want that. I would not rely on a C&P examiner, just like I wouldn't rely on anyone else to submit my claim. I would be in control as much as I can to gather that evidence, submit my fully developed claim, or as close to that line as possible. All my evidence from service, my current evidence from my private physician, the VA, or whatever that looks like, and go ahead and submit that claim. Because C&P exams, they exist, man. And you either do that or you don't. I love saying that, right? You either prepare
Hmm.
for your claim or you don't. And if you're on the don't side, sorry. You have to take responsibility and submit evidence with your claim. if you want your claim to be service connected, especially if you have no, if you're in the evidence other than medical column. That's my rant, Jason. I'm going to kick it back to you because I will really go down down that road.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think, I agree with everything you're saying. Absolutely. And how, again, can you prepare, right? I mean, you still might be thinking this out there. Number one is again knowing what they're looking for, right? They're looking for those two things we talked about, which is there a nexus? Is there a link between your time in service and your condition? What they're looking for is not necessarily the military caused this. They're looking for more, did this manifest first begin during your time in service, or is it a result of your time in service, right? So that's kind of what they're looking for. And then they're looking for the severity, right? Some of these things, range of motion stuff, it is what it is. You just need to be honest with yourself. If it hurts already, say it already hurts, right? Bend as far forward as you can with, and tell me when you feel pain. I feel pain now, right? Now, be honest. Don't be jerky about it, but just have the conversation and be honest. But other things like GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, or migraines, that type of stuff is going to rely on you explaining your symptoms, right? So how do you prepare for that? Well, you can't just go in there and think that it really disrupts my life. My quality of life sucks, because those are not listed in the schedule of ratings for either one of those conditions, right? That doesn't mean anything really to the VA. You need to look at the schedule of ratings for your specific conditions, and this is so nuanced, and we talk about it all the time. There is not one claim filed that's the same. There's so many different twists and turns and so much nuance in this that it's best for you to look at the schedule of ratings, read your condition. And I always just say, look, read the bottom one first. It's going to give you all the ratings that are available for that specific condition. There might be 3 ratings, there might be 5, there might be 1. So understanding where you're going to, if it's only 1 rating, then it is what it is. You just need to go get service connected for it. If there's 5 ratings for it, well, start off at the bottom one. If it's 0, it's 0. Read that and go, okay, yeah, I meet all that criteria. Well, then read the next one, right? Read all that. If you meet all that criteria, great. Go to the next one. Keep doing that until you get to where you don't meet all the criteria, and then back down one. If that happens to be a 50% rating, then I should be a 50% rating. Now it's up to you to take that information with you and share it. Now, again, I'm really a fan of swimming upstream instead of all the after the fact stuff. Really, you should be having that conversation with your primary doctor and getting that put into your medical files, and ideally having a DBQ completed by your private doctor before you even file your claim, before a C&P exam can ever even happen. But if you miss that window, not a big deal. Prepare for your C&P exam then, and take that information from the rating schedule to your C&P exam. Again, it's not a closed book test, right? To print it out, circle it, handwrite it, do something, copy, paste, whatever. Show up with it so you can, for lack of a better word, regurgitate it in that C&P exam, right? Because you want to be able to articulate to the C&P examiner the exact information that your rater is going to be looking for in order to rate you, right? So another thing is don't guess stuff. God, I hate that. So for an example, let's say that you're on this side, like Clay was talking about, right? You don't really have any solid, concrete nexus evidence, right? You have some buddy statements, whatever. Okay, great. So now you're relying really heavily on your C&P examiner. Now, let's say that you got out of the military, whatever. We'll say 10 years ago. You joined 4 years before that. So you joined 14 years ago and you served for 4 years. Okay, following me? I hope. All right. So you joined 14 years ago. Well, You're a rounder. You like to round numbers, never close enough. So tell me, Mr. or Mrs. Veteran, when did you first start getting your migraines? About 15 years ago. Well, guess what? That's before you joined the military, so that's not service connected. So you're done. You are the key witness, and you just shot yourself in the foot because you like to round numbers, right? So make sure that you have your dates correct when you're there. This, I've said it before, Clay, I'm going to say it again. Treat this like $1 million or a multi-million-dollar deal, because it really is, right? And it's up to you to get it right.